All right, here we go. Osric Baum, welcome to ENTV today, sir. Excited to be interviewing you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, my pleasure. And ENTV today, I'm joined by Lori Phillips. Lori is part of the Catapult program. She'll be shadowing me, but kind of also co-interviewing Osric. So we're excited. Lori, welcome here too. Are you excited to be doing this? Your first one of shadowing? I got
Absolutely.
I.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, so she's okay. Osric, here you go. We're both coming at you now, sir. So, Osric, for those that do not know you and have not yet been encountered you, how do you introduce yourself when people go, who are you? What do you do? What's your purpose in life? What do you say?
I am a coach, speaker, and trainer when it comes to personal development and leadership skills. It is something that I have done for over 20 years in a management perspective for other companies. And now I'm taking those skills to offer that to everyone else.
How in the world did you get into this? Because that's a whole three chapter, 20 chapter story, I bet.
Well, it actually started about 10 years ago when I wrote my first book, which really didn't do that well, but it was called The Answer is Within Inside. And it was basically my intro to helping people understand that everything, your goals and your desires and your dreams, they all start from inside of you. And from there, once you understand that, that gives you the confidence and the motivation to be able to go forth and achieve those goals.
But how did you just come to that? Because the system taught us everything is external. How did you know? How did you know to start internal?
It's just how I'm built. And I say that because I've always been in the space of reading Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. That was actually the first book that I actually read that led me to understand that everything that we want begins with our desire and it starts internally. So Think and Grow Rich was the foundation for what I would begin doing. And from there, it just, things just started clicking. Uh, I wrote another book called Failure is a Step Toward Success. That was back in 2013, which would then, as I have seen now, people are recognizing that failure is a step towards success. Well, I was talking about that 10 years ago.
Laurie, how do you feel about what he's saying? Because of your journey you're on, Laurie, what's coming up for you?
Yeah, I those both sounds like amazing books. So I think I definitely agree with what you're saying. It does take us failure to reach, to learn and to grow and to reach success if we ever do reach it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Osric, how did you? What is the story of? Can we go back a few decades? Where did you start
Sure.
from, sir? What kind of upbringing? Yeah, where what was it like?
All right. So I'm originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, and uh, humble upbringing. I was always smart, and I think early on in my life, I realized that if we based our talents off of superpowers, my superpower is the ability to learn anything and then turn around and teach it to you. And so a lot of what I did growing up through school, I actually did on my own. Because we're talking about encyclopedias then. This is not the internet. This is straight encyclopedias. And if I had a question about something, I went to the encyclopedia, looked it up, read it, understood it, and then I was able to utilize that skill to take me through school. I graduated with honors in high school, went to North Carolina A&T State University, which is in Greensboro, majored in electrical engineering. And after graduating, I wanted to work in radio. So I worked in radio while I was in school. And instead of going to pursue a position in engineering, I worked for the radio station I was a radio personality for about 3 years. Uh, because I felt like I needed the outlet to be able to communicate with others. And I thought I was shy, even though I can talk. And so from there, uh, I decided, let me go into uh, my field because I worked at UPS, if I can use that. I worked at UPS from when I was a freshman in high school, I mean, a freshman in college, all the way through even while I worked at the radio station. And so my first engineering position was at UPS, and that's where I got my teeth cut with managing people. And from that point on, for the next 21, 22, 23 years, I've managed as little as 6 people and as many as 50, 55.
Laurie, I want to go to you here. What questions do you have for Osric? Because you've also dealt with people and organizations, leadership, right? You've supported a lot of, so what are your questions? Let's go to you.
Well, first, I can't imagine leading a team of 55 people. That must have been very difficult. What's the difference between leading? Is there a difference between leading 6 people versus 55, or are the concepts and principles the same?
No, it's actually quite different because with the 6 people, it was just me. So I was able to navigate through those 6 and be able to handle anything that came. But when I managed the 50, 55 people, that was across 3 different operations that I was still responsible for, but I was the only management person. So that's where I began developing those that I identified as potential leaders, and then they showed interest in becoming in management. And so I took that to utilize my 3E, or E3 is what I call it: educate, enlighten, and empower. And that is how I developed those people and put them in key spots to help me lead and manage those operations.
Wow. Osric, you're obviously strategic operation systems. So what are 2 or 3 key lessons you've learned strategically in operations that we can then dovetail into all sorts of leadership styles too? What are some things you can leave with the viewers, listeners?
Well, first thing is, when we talk about problems and solutions, there's usually the idea of, let's just get a temporary fix. And so to resolve a problem, to actually come up with a lasting solution, there's 3 questions that you have to ask, and you have to keep repeating those questions until you drill down. And that is what, how, and why. Because as you're asking those questions, you get the answers and you continue asking what, how, and why. And you will eventually get to what the root of the problem is. Now, I've had people ask me, why don't we use who and when? The who and when will come up within those answers from the how, what, and why. But the reason why I don't focus on the who and the when is because we don't want to deflect from what the issue is. And oftentimes we want to try to point it out as to being a person that is doing that is causing the problem, when in actuality, it may be something much deeper. And so if we don't focus on the people, but focus on the process, we can then come up with what the root is and begin to solve it.
Wow. Laurie, let's go to you. What, how, and why? What are your thoughts on that? What Osric is saying?
I love it. I love it because it allows you to separate yourself, the person, like you said, from the problem, to kind of rise above the problem and look at it very objectively, if I'm understanding it correct.
You are.
Yeah. And I love you make lists. You've got like 3 E's, what, how, why. It's brilliant.
Amazing. Amazing. Please keep going, Osric. What else?
So when we talk about educate, enlighten, and empower, that is what I have used to develop managers. I did that at my last position when I worked at FedEx, where I would be responsible for at least 5 to 6 hourly people becoming managers solely off of working for me in my operation. Now, that's when I had 3 operations I was responsible for. And what I did was, when we talk about education, it's literally being able to understand what the operation is and the processes. So when we talk about a process, it's three elements. It has to be safe, efficient, and productive. If it doesn't check off all three of those boxes, then although it may be your process, it's probably not going to be that effective.
Oh, I've had
So,
very ineffective processes, so I can say an amen from the front row. Keep going.
and so that's what, so you learn what the processes are, you understand what the operation is. And then once that education has taken place, now I can enlighten you. Now I'm giving you different scenarios. I cannot account for every scenario, which is why we go back to the what, how, and why, because that is how you determine what a problem is. And from there, once they understand that framework of being able to have problem resolution, now, and I'm confident in what they're doing, the empowerment phase starts, and I let them go. I oftentimes compare it to teaching somebody how to ride a bicycle. You have training wheels, and I'm there with you as you're pedaling along so you can gain your balance. And then once we see that, okay, you understand everything, you understand how the whole mechanics of the bicycle work, you're able to keep your balance. We take the training wheels off. And if you've ever trained someone or taught someone how to ride a bike, you're typically behind them with your hand on their back. And they're not able to pedal as fast, so you're able to maintain and keep up with them. But as they get stronger and you recognize that, your hand slowly but sure, your hand slowly gets removed from their back. So now they almost realize at a certain point that they're riding a bicycle by themselves. Well, that is how the empowerment phase is. I'm lurking in the background, but at the same time, I'm allowing you to make decisions because I've trusted that you understand how to address issues. And then from there, I totally am removed. And now you're running the show. And there's nothing more exciting for me when it's my operation, but no one is coming to me to ask questions. And I've never said, Amos is my guy. He's the one that's running the operation. I've taught him everything. He knows. Nope. They see it. They see you running the operation. And so now, even though I'm the manager, they're going to you. And so that's how I built teams to where I'm able to do other things while they are running the operation. And that is a part of my E3. Educate, enlighten, and empower.
Wow. The metaphor is awesome. We got to go. So Lori just is a digital nomad now, and she got a scooter. So as you're saying this, Osric, I'm just imagining Lori's learning to ride a scooter because she's in a different state and she got her groceries on a scooter now. And so as you're saying this, Lori, what are you thinking as you saying this?
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking of the scooter. I was thinking of how if you, well, because my scooter is electric, so all I have to do is push a button. but but I was thinking about how what you were saying is when you're holding on to someone, if you don't eventually let go, then you're going to hold them back. You're going to actually
Right.
slow them down. And so like having the knowledge and the wisdom to know when to kind of loosen your grip and let them start to accelerate, that's a really hard, I bet that's a hard balance for you as the leader, right?
Actually, it's not because I'm I've trained them to be able to do it. And so during that enlightenment phase, I am giving them every different scenario that they can possibly run into. And then oftentimes what I'll do is there may not even be a situation going on. And I'll just take them to the side or say, come with me and we'll go and look at it. Go and look at an operation. What do you see? And they tell me. And then I say, okay, now Why do you think it is this way? Because I want them to start thinking like not necessarily me, but thinking on an operational level of how I'm looking at things so that they become an independent thinker and they can have a critical eye. Because I don't want to be the one that's always in control. I'm the leader that wants to serve others and to allow you to shine. I've always been taught when the team shines, I shine.
Amazing. Osric, this reminds me, North Carolina. So Michael Jordan Tar Heels, I was a huge Bulls fan. And when Phil Jackson became the head coach and brought in the triangle offense for the Bulls, took the ball out of Michael Jordan's hands, who had averaged 37 or 38 points a game, took it out of his hands to say, we can go and win championships if you actually draw back as a leader. And he went down to 29, 30 points a game, which probably was hard, but everybody became a threat. I love what you're saying. You're not looking to be the control freak. You're looking to empower. So let's go to your coaching. Let's go to your leadership training. What are you doing how are you bringing your services to the planet now, Osric? What does it practically look like?
So I joined the John Maxwell uh, team. So I'm a certified team member. And with his platform, I'm able to utilize his framework and teachings along with what I already have in place to actually bring that to corporate America. And it becomes because when I read one of his books, which was a leadership book, everything that he said is the progression that I did. And it was amazing to me to understand that without having read his book prior to me doing everything that I've done in my management career, I was actually following the same outline and path that he describes in his book. So I use the book. And here's where I think a lot of people, when it comes to personal development, don't really understand this. When we were in school, how did we learn? From a book. We learned from a book. The only difference between now is that in school, they give you the book. You now have to go and get the book. But at the end of the day, we're still learning from a book. And so what I do is I break that book down for you and show you, just like a teacher would do, the different examples from my experiences and how they relate to what we're learning within this book.
Wow, Lori, thoughts for Osric?
Well, I love that you're certified with John Maxwell. I think he's an amazing leader. He has like, I don't know, 100 books now.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
So I think it's amazing too that you have, like, some people are just born with certain skills. And I feel like you're just born with leadership skills, because if you've throughout the course of your life learned these concepts and kind of are teaching these concepts, and then all of a sudden discover that this giant in the leadership world is teaching the same thing that you've been doing, I'm just very impressed.
And it was shocking to me. It was very shocking to me, because it came down to really confirmation for me that I've always been on the right path. And I just need the stage to bring it to everyone else.
Wow. Well, this has been a blast, Osric. Do you have any links you can drop after in the Facebook afterwards? I'll tag you in this. You can find it in the comments. Any links
Yes.
you got? Excellent. Let's go to you, sir, for closing thoughts, closing remarks. Anything you want to leave with the audience? This has been a great.
Well, I will just say that whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is you want to do, is simply starts with your mind and your desire to make that happen. And from there, you're going to need motivation. I've always said motivation is the key, but success is up to me. So essentially, yes, you need the motivation, but you have to have the will and the desire to achieve that success. Motivation is the key, but success is up to me. I'll leave you with that.
Wow. Lori, final thoughts.
I love that. I'm gonna watch this back and write it down.
Amazing.
So thank you.
Yeah, Osric, thank you for being here. If you have ENTV, you've been watching or you're watching this in the YouTube after, jump in the group, connect with Osric. He'd love to connect with you. What a mind you have, sir. I love the engineering strategy systems. Beautiful. We'll continue chatting after we end the live here, but Osric, it's been a real pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.